Okay, people, welcome back to the Grow with Joe podcast. This is a space where we explore deep insights on spirituality, purpose, leadership, business, and technology. I'm your host, Chukwumati Joseph, and today we'll be diving into something deeply rooted in our identity, culture, but not just culture as an art or tradition. We're talking culture as a driving force for national growth, youth empowerment, and creative enterprise. And with me to answer our questions is a man whose work sits right at the heart of that mission, Reverend Canon Dr. Ben Anamah. He is the Director General of Cultural Industries and Heritage at the Federal Ministry of Arts, Culture and Creative Economy. He is not only a public servant but also a passionate advocate for heritage preservation, youth inclusion, and creative empowerment. Thank you very much, sir, for having me today. I understand how hectic your schedule can be, and so it's really an honor to be with you today. Moving right to the first question. You serve in a position where culture means policy, and you also serve as a Reverend Canon of the Anglican Communion. Could you share a bit of your journey? How did faith, leadership, and culture all come together for you? What is the motivation behind your story?
Yeah, good evening, the host. First and foremost, I'm a director, not director general.
Okay.
Now, as a human being, my journey to life started when it was discovered that I have that inbuilt talent in creativity, then used as fine art. It took me to University of Benin. When I finished my university, I then came to see myself as a civil servant, a cultural officer with Federal Ministry. As a cultural officer, my role or duty is to promote, preserve, and present Nigerian culture for a global perspective. That I've been doing until when I was posted to the Department of Cultural Industries and Heritage in 2013. I rose from rank and file to the position I am in today. That aside, coming to religion, I've been a person brought up in a Christian way from absolute Christian background. My father, my mother being members of EFAC, SU, and Anglican Church. But in 2017, although the call started in 2015, 2016, but in 2017, that was when I ventured into the work as a servant of God. Now, to your question, culture. When we're talking about religion is an aspect that is interwoven with culture. Culture is said to be the people's way of life that distinguish them from their neighbors. That is to say, if we are in the same compound or a country called Nigeria, my culture is what differs me from you. So culture entails your belief, your value system, architectural, gastronomy, and your belief. And when you're talking about belief system, you're not talking about religion. So religion is an aspect of culture. So being a priest and at the same time a cultural officer and a head in a department whose job is to promote the heritage of Nigerian culture. And when you're talking about the heritage, that is the nervous system of Nigerian culture. You can have other departments, but this particular department is the department that its mandate is to dig into the heritage yesteryears, preserve them, and promote them. And it is a difficult task, but we thank God we are able to go ahead. Being a child of God, being a priest, and at the same time to protect, promote, and preserve our heritage, which most often run parallel with my Christian belief. Take, for instance, you talk about Osho Oshobo Festival. You talk about, there are festivals. If you go to Bayelsa, there's a festival, Pompolo Village, there's a festival they do there. It has to do with Marine Festival. As a Christian, I know the Bible speaks against that. So what we do is to fish out those aspects of our culture that will meet international standard in order to promote inborn and outbound tourism. In inborn tourism, you are talking about your people, outbound visitors. Now, in order to fit into the global belief and the global perspective of making Nigeria tourism destination, there are aspects of our culture that have to be a little bit downplayed to suit the global vision. Take, for instance, during the carnival, when carnival was ongoing, you will discover there are masquerades, they are called spirits, that are not allowed for women to watch. That are not allowed by men who have not gone through the process of, and the rituals of being transformed from their, unquote, being, like say, be civilian to that court. So what that carnival did was to create an opportunity whereby a foreign journalist, a female journalist, that traveled all the way from Spain, all the way from America, all the way from China, can pick up her camera and start videoing. And at the same time, when you're talking about African culture, when you're talking about African religion talks about purity. That's a time a woman that is facing or experiencing her menstrual period is not allowed to face a masquerade. But now you see a female, you know not whether she is having her period or not, her menstrual period. She'll be there during the event. That is bringing it to standard of a global standard that is acceptable to all. Thank you.
Wow. You've really hit the hammer on the head, because the next question I was going to ask you was the vision and the role of this federal agency you work with, and you really answered that question. You said that the role of the agency is to promote African culture,
Nigerian culture.
Nigerian culture to the world.
They are the 3 P's. We call the 3 P's.
Okay.
You talk about promotion, you talk about preservation, you talk about presentation. But if you want to arrange it sequentially, it is you first preserve it.
Yes.
Then you start to promote it.
Okay.
From promotion, you start to present it to the people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
You've consistently emphasized youth inclusion in the ministry's agenda. Why do you believe culture and youth empowerment must go hand in hand?
When you're talking about youth, Culture is no culture if you cannot transmit it from one generation to another, and that is heritage.
Yeah.
Now, when we're talking about youth, youth is the engine room of every society. A society without youths is going into extinction. Now, we as a ministry believe that we have some cultural industry materials. Now, when I'm talking about materials, I am not talking about the tools. I'm talking about the tangible art. We're talking about the crafts. We're talking about every form of art, be it weaving, be it painting, be it sculpture, be it smithing, anything called art that is traditional. We strongly believe that the youth should be inculcated and involved in the activities of the ministry. And when Mr. President Ahmed Tinubu speaks about renewed hope agenda, my ministry is one of the ministries the federal government of Nigeria strongly believe that through that ministry, job will be created. And we call it 2030, Destiny 2030, Nigeria Everywhere. Nigeria Everywhere means that every nook and cranny of the world, if you speak Nigeria. If you touch Nigeria. If you think Nigeria. And he said by 2030, my ministry should have created 2 million jobs. 2 million jobs, how will it be done? We have what we call cultural industries. This cultural industries is this industry that try to, bring back our yesteryear scraps, which modern youths fail to identify with. When you see a youth, a contemporary youth, want to be involved in computer AI, you can use our craft, embed it into AI, and you make your earning. By so doing, you have promoted our culture, you have preserved our culture, and you have presented our culture within the enclave of your own generation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. This was actually one of the questions I was going to ask, because I was going through a conversation you had, and you said something about Nigeria Everywhere
Destination 2030.
And you really opened up my mind as to what it means. So you really answered one of the questions also as well. There's a lot of talk about the creative economy being Nigeria's new oil. From your vantage point, what practical steps are being taken to unlock this potential across the country?
There's what we call IDIs in my ministry.
IDIs.
IDIs.
Okay.
It's an acronym.
Okay.
This is one of the ways the Honorable Minister of Art, Culture, Tourism and Creative Economy, Barrister Musawa Hanatu, is using to key Nigerian youths, to key in the creative industry into a global grant through which they are empowered for self-reliance. Now, how does it work? When you're talking about creative industry is an offshoot of cultural industry. Creative industry is the modern industry of cultural industry. They work hand in hand. You talk about the Nollywood. You talk about the fashion industry. You talk about the Nigerian gastronomy. You talk about, there are many things you talk about when you're talking about creative industry. It is an industry that is full of creativity. Your ability, your inner ability, that which you can do with your hand, because white collar job is drying off.
Yes, sir.
So when we're talking about creative industry is an industry specifically that is becoming the oil of the entire world. How does it go? If Nigeria adequately key into creative industry vis-a-vis the cultural industry, one, we are preserving our culture. Two, we are meeting the contemporary demand. Three, the youths are engaged. And what happens in creative industry is that now what you're doing is an aspect of creative industry. Using your talent to create out an innovation through which you make interviews and bring into knowledge. What you're doing is an aspect of contributing to knowledge. So when you're talking about creative industry, I'm a fine artist, I'm a sculptor, I paint. I can do paintings and sculptural works that I can sell. When I pay my tax and other rebate, you will see that you are contributing to Nigerian GDP. And one good thing about creative industry, it is not limited to one sector or one region of the country. Oil is south-south and some part of southeast and some part of southwest. But when you're talking about creative industry, you will see that beautiful Hausa, Fulani, Kanuri, Nupe, a chief girl that is embedded with very beautiful voice, and he becomes a musician. He can do local shoe. It's not limited to one tribe. Through the Adire clothes, it's not limited to one tribe. Doing good fashion clothes, it's not limited to one tribe. But when you're talking about oil is limited.
Yeah.
So why creative industry is even more than oil, is that it is what I will call having a pluralistic inclusiveness of everybody, whereas oil is a singularistic, individualistic exclusiveness. It does not cover everybody. It's not every state in Nigeria that talk about oil.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. This is valuable information, for especially the young people that are yet to understand how big the creative industry is, that are yet to start tapping into, that industry. I believe the young people listening and watching this right
Just last month, a good number of Nigerian youths were in Beijing, China.
Yes.
To do what? To exhibit their clothes, their material, their fashion. And one of the young men from Benue State gave a testimony how he lost his father, every hope lost. He came to Abuja, he started doing sewing, and he was identified. The talent was seen in him. And what did they do? They improved on his talent, put him on the pedestal of contemporary fashion designers, and today is a household name. So that is what creative economy is doing. What oil does, it gives you in scarcity, oil in rubber. You put it 10 liters, 10,000. It does not give you a name. But today, there are names. You talk about this man. What is his name? His name just escaped my mind. But
is it a musician?
No, it's a fashion designer. Lexo.
Okay.
Good Lexo. Or if I'm getting about, one of his name is Lexo Mojo Eyes. Yes. He attends Paris fashion show. He's a household name in Nigeria.
Yes, even photography today is taking people outside.
Yeah, we have Kelechi.
Yes.
Kelechi, Isaiah Amandi Kelechi is there. There are many of them. So many youths undiscovered that are being discovered through creative industry. So creative industry, the oil can never measure with creative. Creative oil is for the bourgeois. Creative industry is for the masses. It's for the vulnerable. When you key into it, it uplifts you. But when you enter into, as I am, I can't open a police station. As you are, I can't open a police station. to have a free station, you think of a good site that will not be less than 500 million. Then before you put everything,
the challenges involved.
Runs into see the challenges Dangote is having with all his money. Now, a boy can be in a one corner, give a super design. Just what he needed to do, take his Android phone, make a video of it, send his contact. Somebody stays in America, book him, he do this clothes and package it, DHL it, the person gets it, he paid it into a dollar account.
You know, now that you talk about this, it actually reminds me of this recent saga in Benin State where the governor was asking the young man that just bought, was it 17,000 hectares of land to come and explain the source of his money. You know, if I believe that, but I don't know if it's a legit source of income or not, but I know that it's something that has to do with creativity because you cannot be that young. Oil, you cannot be that young and make that amount of money in oil. Oil is something that you will need to invest years, time, you know, network before you can make it that big.
That's a young man. He was living in America. He secured a job in America. The tax and everything was too high. He can use his laptop to do the work. He does not go to office because you just use your laptop. He relocated back to Abuja, rented an apartment, brought his youth friends. They started doing the business. He said, since I can, this is computer based. Do you know what he did? He relocated back to the village. He has a good house because when he started doing, he built a good duplex. Now he stays in his village, works for an American firm in United States of America, and his dollar account is always receiving the beam. Bam, bam. Tomorrow, when such a boy buy one expensive car, you say it's Yahoo. It's not all that buy expensive cars that are Yahoo. We have the challenge of that. But those of them that are into deep creative industry are smiling home.
Thank you so much. I would really love to use this as an opportunity to, you know, address the young audience that will be listening. This is no longer the age of white collar job. We're no longer
It's gone and gone forever.
You graduate and you're looking for a job. In fact, if you are still looking for a job right now, then it means you didn't even know what you went to school for because you know we have thousands of youths that have graduated as far back as 5-8 years ago that are still looking for a job. So this creativity, you know, this creative industry is presenting an opportunity for anybody anywhere. You can be in your room, you can be in your self-contained room, you know, do something and promote it to the world. In fact, now you don't even need a Nigerian audience. You can promote it to anybody anywhere in the world.
But this lady, she get herself involved in doing a master ceremony and at the same time doing coverage. You will see what do you call it again? He add to it, you know, making it not to be as usual. Now she is gaining more followers. So any youth, and that goes to the universities, that goes to the Ministry of Education. It is hard time that they have to change the curriculum and some subjects that they are still offering in the university. There are universities courses that have gone obsolete. They are no longer viable. They should do Nigerian youths a lot of good by deleting them in their course selection when they are writing JAMB.
Honestly, now that you talk about this, even looking at the fact that English and math is still a major requirement for anybody to, you know, get admission into school, I don't think that is something that is anymore, and that is no longer tangible. It used to work before, but not now, because not everybody going to university will need the mathematics. Not everybody will need the English language, but that's you know, that like a barrier. It has set like a barrier for most people. If you don't pass your English, maths, you know, and 5 other credits, you can't get into a university. I'm not saying it should be abolished, but they have to look for ways to, you know, to accommodate everybody. You should no longer.
I will define that angle. Well, for you to be a good, creative-minded person, You must know your business management, management and administration. And in doing that, you should know your figures. If no other thing, know it at primary or secondary level. So that, just for instance, I'm a priest, as you know, we are building a church.
Yes.
The secretary of the church is not well lettered. When you send money to him, when the sending get accumulated, issues comes up. When you give him statement of account, for him to interpret it is a big problem. You heard about governor that was saying 1 billion, this figure is too much for me. You heard about it.
Yes.
But if you, that should be a basic. Now, Nigeria was colonized by British government. English being our lingua franca. That is the common language that we speak. That is the common means of communication. At least a child should be able to possess that, so that when he goes to university, when they do JS 001, which is use of English, it will not be a challenge. Just as you are now, if you are offered masters by by Chinese government, there are majority of their universities using Mandarin language. So what you need to do is that in some universities, 1 year will be understanding Chinese language, so that you'll be able to flow. So that language of 18 is important. Unless if we're in a nation where the whole language, everybody speaks Hausa, then his English is not important. Yeah. But at the same time, the Chinese are struggling to speak English, just as some Nigerians are today struggling to speak the Chinese language.
Thank you so much for that, for really giving us clarity on that. And the next question, you recently hosted a Ugandan military delegation studying cultural relations.
Who told you that?
Of course, I follow you on Facebook. So, was it even on Facebook? While I was doing a research for this podcast, I came across it on Facebook.
I didn't post it. Maybe somebody did.
It wasn't on your profile. I think it was on the, I can't really remember, but I saw it.
Okay. Yeah, you're correct.
So what role do you think cross-cultural collaborations play in building Africa's shared future?
A lot. You see, when you say Nigeria vis-a-vis China, there's one thing in common found in them. Nigeria does not believe in hardware war. They believe in using diplomacy. And the essence of diplomacy is to reduce unnecessary conflicts. Now, when there's a cross-border understanding and interface between countries, issues will not arise. Take, for instance, what is happening in Israel and in Gaza. If there's an interface, if there's diplomatic understanding between those people, you will not hear war. During Obasanjo's time, World Court, International Court of Justice, ICJ, awarded Bakassi Peninsula to Cameroon. You know that they said, according to analysis and analysts then, Nigeria was not compelled by that law to accept, to concede that land to Cameroon. Nigeria did it because of inter-border relationship they're having with Cameroon.
Yes.
Because Nigeria want to play the role of the big brother Africa, where the big boy of Africa. So, you see, when there's issue of military coup in Burkina Faso, Niger, Chad, you saw how President Tinubu have to play it down. Even when there were rumors that Nigeria will do this, Nigeria would not do that. Niger will do this, Niger will not do that. The role played using cross-border diplomatic relations was what helped Nigeria and other neighboring West African countries to be living together. Do you think that what certain things that happen between Nigeria and other African countries are not enough to bring up strong conflicts? Talk about xenophobia.
Yeah.
As a youth, my younger brother, now an engineer, that was around 1986 or thereabout, during Babangida's regime. There was a launch to raise funds to fight against apartheid. Then Nelson Mandela was still in prison. My brother went to presidential hotel with our elder brother. My parents gave him money, which he donated. The newspapers carried it. Even the kids say no to apartheid.
Yes.
If you know how much Nigeria committed to support MCFC, to support the freedom of blacks in South Africa, and then comes xenophobia. They are now asking Nigerians to go. What did the president did? He did not call an eye to an eye. You shut down my embassy in your country, I shut down your embassy in my country. No. When you do that, Nigeria has a way of bringing the tempo, the tension down, so that when the temperature, when the BP of both nations are going high, what happens is that border or cross-border relationship plays a major role. It brings the tension down. So that is where I always give it to Nigeria. Nigeria may not be getting everything right, but when you come to broader Africa or playing the role of a big brother, Nigeria is one of the best globally. And that is where China equally is playing its own role. You see, you hardly see China tell, we'll go and bomb this, we'll go and bomb this, we'll go and do this. No. Yeah. China always use diplomacy. They call it win-win agenda. Win-win. I call it elephant to elephant project. Why is it elephant to elephant project? It is elephant to elephant project because you are an elephant, I am an elephant. When two of us fight, who suffers? Our citizens fight. These are the people they describe as the grasses. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for giving us that piece of advice, that piece of wisdom. Okay. The next question. What would you say to Nigerians who feel disconnected from their roots, who see culture as something old-fashioned?
Culture will never be old-fashioned. Culture is very dynamic. Culture revolves around change. It's just a wrong concept that some people believe that their root or their culture is old-fashioned. If it is old-fashioned, what is new in American culture? What is new in Chinese culture? What is new in Japanese culture? What is new in a South African culture? Is it not the same you saw yesterday, you're still seeing? The only thing you do is that you check the level of contemporaneous. You check the level of change. The modern man, where is he heading to? You start to amend. When we are small, we used to see JVC radio. You can't see JVC. We used to see it started with black and white. Yes. From black and white for one box called color TV, standing TV. From standing TV went to plasma. From plasma it's now LCD.
Yes. Now I've come TV too.
It's okay. So does that thing that makes it television remove from it?
No.
So when you're talking about culture, even those people that are against their culture are still playing their culture. Your color alone is your culture.
Yes.
Yes. Your color alone is your culture. Your thoughts, your belief, your mind is your culture. It is what is imbibed on you from childhood. If you like, go to America, speak you are an African. Get a pig, wash a pig, leave a pig is a pig. So no matter how you try to indoctrinate, to assimilate somebody into another culture, that one that is made in him from childhood remains intact. You only pretend. Those people that are abroad, or some of Nigerians that are here that pretend, bring good soup of egusi, well prepared, and apple. You will see that person will swallow it very well.
Yes.
You will see those people that like added international in their school. They are now doing cultural day.
Yes.
Back to roots. You can never run away from your roots. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. In gradually coming to the end of this session, could you share with us what is the biggest challenge you face as a man who is a public servant and a spiritual director, and how do you deal with that challenge?
The challenge I face is this. To promote, when I began, I did inform you. I mentioned festivals. Let me be sincere to you. There are festivals I pray to God that I don't want to participate in. And God, in His faithfulness, since I entered civil service to date, my name has not entered for those festivals. Even as the head of the department that promotes that, we've not been opportune to have to go to such events. Rather, my sister departments are doing that. So the challenge is this: the meeting point of Christian religious knowledge, or not knowledge, the Christianity,
Yes.
and ATR. Because when you talk about Nigeria, and Nigeria is ATR, Africa Traditional Religion. Now, I was discussing with my wife this afternoon. She told me what her lecturer, a Roman Catholic priest, said about culture, and how he defines certain things, that when you go to people's place, you don't need to, you have to, get assimilated with what they are doing. Then I asked her, if the people that brought Christianity did not stand their ground on killings of twins, what would have been our fate? Usu, the upcast system of Igbo land, if the early Christians that came to Nigeria didn't stand against it, what would have been our fate? So there are some aspects of culture based on my own denomination as an Anglican that run foul of our faith. So what I do as a civil servant, if you're my staff and you believe in that, if we have a program, I'll only assign you to that. And when you bring it, we treat it based on the fact that we are treating civil service work. But when it comes to spirituality and religion, I draw my line, so it does not mix. I will not say because I am the head of the Department of Cultural Industries and Heritage, I will go for a festival where you ask me to remove my shoe, wash my leg. After washing, you put chalk on my leg, you do some incantation, ask me to, I will do that, then I will be for you to do that. I'm a civil servant. No. Give unto Caesar what is Caesar. Take your own, let me be my own. Yes. If that is what you're doing like that, good. If that, you see, let me give you an instance. When you see a Yoruba man, Yorubas are known as one of the tribes in Nigeria that knows how to accord respect to their elders. He will bend down, even when the Yoruba man is making food, where the others, Ekarosa, Elesa. When they see their traditional monarchs, they lie down to greet. The Hausas, the Rankadede, Kadoshi, this and that. We the Igbos, we are not trained like that. I don't prostrate to my king. I don't lie down for my king.
Yes.
So it is in religion called Christianity. There are things Bible has told us not to do, and you cannot compel. It's like compelling a Muslim not to pray 5 times because he's doing government work. Is it possible?
No, of course not.
No matter what you do, and that is the reason why you see many mosques in a working place.
Yeah.
And why? You must allow them. That is interreligious understanding or interreligious diplomacy.
Yes.
When it is time for prayer, they will go. When we are closing by 4 o'clock, they will go and do their prayers. You will not say because he said this, you should not do. So as a Christian, there are things that we do in service that may not. Okay. Let's put it there.
Yeah, you have really bottled it down. You really bottled it down with that explanation. Just as the same way you will not force a Muslim not to pray or not to engage in his own spiritual activity, even though he's working in the cultural heritage. The same way you don't force a Christian
to pray,
because there should be an understanding. There should be a limitation, a boundary. When it's something that we can do with it. If it's something
there's a time you go to office to meet pansec or minister, and they are praying. Yes. You must respect that.
Even in the bank,
you must respect that.
Yes.
Oh, Oga is praying. You sit down quietly, allow him to say his prayer. That is his own belief, yes. And it is his culture.
Yes.
So
yeah.
So if my culture does not allow me to wash leg, and you insist that I wash leg, I'll pray God not to bring me to that place that will ask me to wash leg that is against my faith.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. So finally, if you had to define your legacy in one statement, what do you want to be remembered for in Nigeria's cultural story?
What I want to be remembered for, one, is somebody who loved first his fellow human being as staff. Bible tells me when Jesus was preaching, so these two are key issues: love for God and love for your fellow man. That is number one. Two, I would like a situation whereby when I retire from civil service, they will have been, my staff must have been mentored into service delivery, making sure that the culture of our people is duly preserved, duly presented, and duly promoted. Without these three, the ministry is dead.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. This has really been a rich and wonderful conversation. Thank you for hosting me in your residence and giving time to answer questions. You have reminded us that culture is more than an identity. It's a tool for empowerment, for unity and prosperity. From the craft we make to the values we uphold, and everything about our heritage holds power. Thank you so much for your time.
God bless you.
God bless you. Continue to
It's a pleasure.